Hey FLOSSTUBE, it's Leigh from Creatively on Sunday, May the 4th. Bear with you. 2025 with FLOSSTUBE number 266. Welcome back to my weekly YouTube channel about counted cross stitch. I usually close this blind. Maybe I won't today. I don't think the glare's too bad because it's grey and overcast. Let's start with the weather update. It's been weird. It has been really hot one day, freezing cold the next. We had some horrific weather last week. We had in Wellington, I mean it was not just Wellington because I know that parts of Christchurch had horrendous flooding. I think there was floodings in parts of the Greater Wellington region as well. But we had, I think Wednesday afternoon, night, the weather just turned horrific, like ridiculous winds, like 140 kilometre winds. I think that the winds were so strong that a lot of the readings they have on like hills or wherever the hell they have machines that do the readings maxed out. So they were stronger than what the readings were. And most of Thursday we had a red weather warning. Flights cancelled, trains were disruptive, there was power cuts, and yeah, like trampolines flying around, like we're not in Kansas anymore kind of weather, and yeah, sideways rain and cold. It was horrible. So that sucked. I worked from home. I had planned to go into Wellington during the day because we were supposed to go to the ballet on Thursday night. It was cancelled due to the general weather warning, travel warnings, asking people to suggesting that people avoided travel. I think by the time like mid-evening, I'd say it downgraded because the wind sort of eased, aka Leigh could sleep because it wasn't so windy. But yeah, it was pretty rough for a couple of days, and people got stranded in Wellington or couldn't get into Wellington because of flights, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, yeah, it's kind of extreme autumn weather. But anyway, it's kind of just grey and a bit meh today. And did I put I've got my windows open and I put my heat pump on. I'm going to go turn my heat pump off because I'm not actually that cold. One moment. I also took the opportunity to blow my nose. I think I meant to turn the lounge light off, and I turned the heat pump on because why? So I also just got up and turned the heat pump off and left the lounge light on, but whatever. So it was the weather. I had a pretty busy week at work, kind of a bit of the usual really. But this week coming up I'm travelling, so first work trip away, quarterly planning up at one of our clients in Auckland. So my Wellington based colleague and I are flying up to Auckland on Monday evening and then back Wednesday evening. So I think I'm picking him up. I'm just going to leave my car at the airport. And just because it's, I live 35 kilometres away from Wellington, so about 45 kilometres, 50 kilometres, I don't know how far, 45 kilometres from the airport. And getting there not via my own car is a pain in the ass. So I'm going to pick him up. I think we're getting picked up from the airport by our Hamilton-based colleagues who are driving up to Auckland. Hamilton, for those not in the know, is like, it depends, like an hour, I don't know, not that far from Auckland driving. So they'll pick us up. We've got staying somewhere, I don't know where, the Ramada or something. And then I think we've got like a work breakfast, we've got workshops, much of Tuesday and Wednesday, and a dinner out with one of the teams, like a work dinner. I need to get my shit together. I need to pack my bag. But I can't be bothered. I'll be working from home tomorrow, so I'll leave here about 3 to get to a physio appointment, Petone for my dodgy hip, and then over to Porirua to pick up my colleague, then to the airport. Blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a long day on Monday and a long day on Tuesday. And yeah, back Wednesday night. So a long day on Wednesday. I'm probably not going to get as much stitching done. I'm not going to take anything with me. There isn't going to be time. We've again got breakfast, meetings, dinners out, traveling Monday. So I'm not even going to take my red thread a day because it's on 40 count and I'm going to be staying in, you know, dodgy hotel accommodation, and also the one night that I'm actually there, we're at a work thing. So that's just a heads up really. It's going to be a bit of a disrupted week for stitching, but maybe I'll get to read a little bit, like on the plane, at the airport. But I have to talk to my colleague. Yeah, but I mean, I'm well ahead with my red thread a day. It's not like I'm struggling to get threads in, right? So it's just, it would just stress me out. Also, I've only got carry on, so I've got to take like my work laptop and stuff. So it's a work trip. It's just how it is. What else is going on? Oh yeah, May the 4th. So it reminds me, I'm just going to insert a picture here of the little Star Wars trio that I stitched as a thank you to my good friends who put up with me for a year, a month and a week while my house was being built. I lived with, for those of you who haven't been around since the beginning, I moved in with good friends who didn't charge me rent for a year while I was waiting for my section to get title and be able to get my house built. That was back in 2017. I moved into this house in November 2018. So yeah, I moved in with them October 2017. Now they're very good friends, like old friends. But I couldn't have built my house if I also had to pay rent. So the fact that they put up with me for a year, a month, and a week, or whatever the hell it was, and let me not pay them rent was amazing. And totally, like, again, I couldn't have achieved this dream of building my own house if I hadn't have had that opportunity, and the least I could do. I searched them. The trio. It's a chart off Etsy. I can't find it anymore. It's probably breaches all sorts of copyright or something. I don't know. But I searched it for them and I gifted it to them on May the 4th. I had them individually framed in just some cheap frames, but they had since, Richard since gone and got them framed professionally. So the picture that I insert, I think if it's 3 separate ones, that was my dodgy cheap framing I did. If it's 3 in 1 frame thing, I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of it framed. That's Richard got it framed a couple of years ago. He took it to, anyway, prior to pay. So blah, 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 blah. But I stitched that for them in 2019 to say thank you so much for letting me just help, like basically, again, life-changing that they could do that for me. I have a little bit of stitching. I've got some past finishes to show you. And I bought a few things. So let's talk about what I bought. And I actually bought these last week and I forgot to show you. Like I should have shown you these last week, but I forgot. I just bought a couple of charts off Etsy and then I did some dodgy laminating. So it's gonna be some glare. And I just bought a couple of charts from my friend, YouTuber, Darlene Dion Designs. So I got Stitch All the Things, Quaker. She has a Quaker series, and this one I can see been stitched a few times for friends. And then I also got this one, Stitchy Friends Quaker, and it's really pretty as well. So I really like them. She stitches her models on 36 count. That one has 2 colours, a red and a green. This one is charted for 4 colours. A dark brown, a blue, a green, and B5200. So I got those just because I've been meaning to get them for ages and I found time to go onto Etsy and hit buy. And then this one was, I think it was on sale, don't quote me, and this has been in my, wish list or my like list or whatever favorites list for ages. I would change the colours. Yeah, I really didn't laminate that very well. I think I put it through on cold, which was dumb. Anyway, spinster hood. I really like this for ages. All good in the spinster hood. I grabbed my spinster hood by the non-balls and I make the most of it. I do not miss not having a husband. And That probably represents my posture really well. My books, me craft, me brews, and I would have a cat. One day when I retire, I'll have a cat because I miss having a cat. I'm a cat person, but I like my freedom more. I'm a selfish cat person. It's chartered for 4 classic colour works. No, 3 classic colour works and an anchor. And then I don't know where the green is. Like, it says there's green. I do not see green. 472. I do not see that green anywhere in this. So that picture must be really badly edited, because there's meant to be green and backstitching in green. I don't see green anywhere. I'll probably pick my own colours. I don't love the yellow. I think that's the anchor. So it's equivalent of 973. It's, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the combination of colours, but I like the design. 4 colours, easy enough to change. I'll probably whip this up any minute now. I think this might be a quick start and a finish. It is only, I don't know how big it is. It's this big. It's this big. But I like on the back. Oh, so it's from Roz Clark Craft. Oh, I don't know who that is. There's her deets. But I got it on Etsy. Anyway. And I like on the back, it talks about great spinsters. Throughout history, unmarried women have frequently been mocked, derided, or pitied. They have been considered strange, unnatural creatures because they have chosen to live without husbands or children. Whoop, whoop. In this design, I wanted to celebrate these fierce women who have fought to live their lives on their own terms without reference to a man or responsibility for a child. The single life still offers women great freedom, 100%, to accomplish extraordinary things and to enjoy ordinary things. And I don't know if I accomplish extraordinary things. I stitch a lot, I read a lot, and I bake a lot of bread. I really like that one. So I've had that on my list for ages. It's been around for a couple of years. I don't know if there's no... Some of these people, when they do their designs, they don't put copyright on them, so it makes it a bit hard to get your copyright respected. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's all. I have purchased a couple of things via the interwebs that I will probably have next week. Next Saturday, I'm going around to a friend's to have a stitchy afternoon, and that I'll be picking up a bunch of threads that I have got Catherine to put together for me from Country Stitch, and I'm also picking up a little bag that I purchased like from Judith, a little retreat bag, although I haven't paid for it yet, so in theory I've purchased it. I've indicated I would like to purchase it. I've also got a bag I picked up secondhand from Zeb that's on its way in the mail, but nothing's turned up yet. I think the weather put a bit paid to them. I mean, I wouldn't have gone out to put mail in mailboxes on Thursday. And Thursday is one of my mail days. And I've got something coming from Helen from Crafty Kiwi, which I think is fabric I've purchased from I don't know what it is. I know that I've purchased 2 pieces of fabric from her. One was from Market and one other that she had on her website. And also a stitch along piece from Jenny Douglas, maybe? I can't even remember. I just said, yeah, I'll do it. So I don't know what's coming, other than she said a parcel's on its way to me and it hasn't arrived yet, because pass the parcel to Upper Hutt sucks. It just takes 2 days longer, at least, than everywhere else in New Zealand. I just think the pass the parcel courier in Upper Hutt doesn't give a shit. I think they're based in Lower Hutt, and it probably feels as just insurmountable to drive 12 kilometres up the road to deliver Leigh's parcel to her. But anyway, that's just how it is with pass the parcel. Whatever. I must say my New Zealand New Zealand Post courier treats me very well. He rings me. I think because your number's on the phone, on your, when you put your mobile in and it's on the label, even when he's meant to get a signature, he rings me. Like the other week, he rang me. I saw him down the road. I had to whip out and get a blood test. And I'd been putting off for 3 months. Like, my doctor keeps texting me, you need to go and get a non-urgent blood test. I'm like, you said it was non-urgent. So, and I put it in my calendar, go get blood tests. Like, I always make sure I drink like a litre of water because my veins aren't great. to then go down, and I forget. I go, oh, it's 1 o'clock, and I forgot to go. Anyway, I finally went and got blood test, and my courier is like, I saw him down the road. I should be learn his name because he's so really good to me. We just have a funny history where I chased him around Upper Hutt one day when he left a card to say he hadn't delivered a parcel, and my dad was with me, and we had the door open, this door, the front door open, and we were in the lounge, which is like 6 meters away, listening for the courier because I needed him to pick something up. I pre-booked the courier and he had to pick something up. I was returning something and I was getting an exchange, so he was bringing me the replacement thing and picking up the thing I was sending back. And we were here and anyway, this is like way back in like 2019, like when I'd not been in the house very long. So my dad was here. Anyway, and he didn't, and I knew he was coming about 11. Anyway, we had to go out. So we had to go out about midday or in the afternoon or whatever. And when I went out to check the mail, and there was a card saying, I missed you. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm home. We were home. We had the door open. So I don't know what happened. Again, this is like really early in the beat of this house. So they were like, oh, you can pick it up from the post pickup place after a certain hour. So we're like, well, let's go to the supermarket and we'll go to the courier. They go, no, it's not here yet. I'm like, oh, they said, oh, he's due any minute. So I didn't really chase them all around Upper Hutt. But anyway, so we waited. I went to the supermarket. Anyway, was standing there and he walked in and he had my parcel that he was dropping off, but I hadn't brought the one he needed to pick up. Anyway, so then I said to him, where the hell? I was home. He goes, oh, but you didn't answer the door. I said, the door was open. Anyway, we had this funny exchange. I teased him and he said, oh, anyway. So signed for my parcel and I got that. And then I said, well, I need you to pick up the other one. He goes, well, I'm knocking off. And I'm like, well, can you stop by and get it? So basically I followed him. And again, I had my dad and my stepmom. So this is when my dad was with me with broken ribs and I just got him out of hospital. So it was just after Christmas. And I had my stepmother with Alzheimer's. So we're like back in the car, back down the road to my house. And he was waiting for me because he drove like a courier driver. So, and I drove at the speed limit. So he was waiting for me, went inside the house, picked up the thing he was meant to pick up. So we just had this really funny exchange. So I guess the long story long, we built some rapport. And he's been my local courier guy with New Zealand Post couriers for like, how long have I been here? 6 years. So what he does is, and don't tell anyone because he's not supposed to do it, but sometimes when it requires a signature, he rings me and says, hey, he rang me the other day and said, hey, I just saw you've got this such and such. I said, oh, that's fine. I've just gone down to the post office. I've gone down to get a blood test. I'll be like 10 minutes. And he goes, oh, do you want me to leave it? I said, yeah, just leave it at our normal spot. So he leaves them, he goes down the side of my house and leaves them down by my bedroom. It sounds a little bit creepy, but it's not really. It's just that it's tucked away from the road. So he basically often leaves my parcels there, and he's not supposed to, but he does. And I really appreciate it because it's a pain in the ass going to get the card and go and pick it up. I don't know what the hell how the hell I went there. I'll watch this back on the edit. I'll be like, how did she get there? I'm talking about pass the parcel, that's right. And how the pass the parcel couriers are terrible. I guess at least they turn up because sometimes, what's that other one? I want to say it's not Amway. What are they called? Anthrax? No. The one that, I don't know, the other courier, if I remember, I'll put the name in. They're terrible. I've gone to their depot and asked to be let into their room to find my damn parcel because we can't find it. Anyway, I can't remember their name, so they're terrible. I want to say Anthrax, but it's not Anthrax or Amway. Amtrak? No. Ambrosia? No. I don't remember what it's called. I think it starts with A. It might not even start with A. Okay, that was a lot of crap. So I do have a few things coming next week. So I'll have some exciting mail maybe. That reminds me to ask my neighbours to check my mail for a couple of days because I'm not going to be here. Far out. That's 23 minutes. Shall I show you some stitching? Okay. First up, we have Under the Red Blues. So this is my one red, or I should stop saying one red thread a day or one thread a day. It's just red thread a day. Basically, me and a bunch of fantastic ladies are stitching on a project with red thread, at least one thread, most days. I probably stitching this last week, averaged 3 threads a day, but I'm well ahead of where I need to be. Mine is also by Isabelle Vautier. Mine's on 40 count Kauri linen from Country Stitch using Gentle Art Claret. I'm getting a couple of extra skeins of Gentle Art Claret in my haul next week, just because I am going to be probably running a bit shy. When I did the maths, I thought I might be a bit shy, and I'd rather bring in a different batch now. I don't mind if it's quite variegated. I quite like that look on vintagey looking samplers. So where am I up to? I have no idea where I got to last time. I either had that butterfly row done or I didn't have that butterfly row done. I know I had the house done. I think I had the house and the heart done. So I had this house band and the heart. I'm pretty sure I needed to stitch the butterflies, and then I got the bottom 6 of the big alphabet, the tree. And then yesterday and today, my stitching was this little border here. Of course, I brought this border up as well. So I don't think I had that butterfly row done, or butterfly band. Anyway, here's where we are. We are halfway, was essentially in the middle of that bauble. The middle there is where the halfway mark is. So halfway through this row of letters is halfway on the chart, because there was a little red indicator arrow for me on the chart so I could tell. So there we are. We're just over halfway. And when I started this one thread, when I joined the one red thread a day or red thread a day or one thread a day, I don't even know what it's called, with the girls, I started on, in theory, the 1st of April, but I think it was the 2nd of April after my sister went back to Australia. And when I picked this up, it was the top. I had stopped at that was the bottom, that was the top bit I'd done, that house band. So everything above this band I have stitched essentially in April, and then I mean obviously a little bit in May because it's the 4th of May. So stitched that one, the 3rd and the 4th, and that was probably, these alphabets were probably the 1st and the 2nd. So I probably did all of that in April, like from the top of that house. So that much is I achieved in April, doing on average, I'm going to say, I kind of went up and I came back down. I'm going to say on average 4 or 5 threads a day has got that much done. So about a quarter of it. I love it so much. I'm so excited, because what this means is if I keep going with that sort of pace, which I think I will, I'm going to finish this June, July-ish. And that's great, because I might slow down to finish it. I've got other red things I can stitch if I need a red filler project, but I do have a red sampler start planned for Dash Sampler Starts in August and September, and that's going to be a Bristol. So I don't want this and that, so that's going to work out really well. And then if I have to stitch something in the meantime, if I finish this, before I start that, because that won't necessarily be the 1st of August, I've got a couple of other smaller red projects that I could pick up easily, because I've got a whole bunch of little charts from magazines and a couple of little kind of banding samplers, samplers on banding. So no worries, not worried at all. So it's actually worked out without me trying really hard. It's just worked out. Okay. I'm doing this all out of order. Of course, that's a project that went all week. Yesterday, I decided, I was watching some YouTube, don't know who, can't remember, apologies, but someone mentioned they were going to do Manning May. Some people do Mania or Mad May, or I don't know. and someone mentioned they were doing Manning Mania, as in a Carolyn Manning design, and I'm like, I want to start another shooting star, because I haven't had one for ages, and I don't have a kind of mindless stitching. I find those shooting star geometric stitches very, very relaxing. They're really good kind of gap fillers between, we're not working on a 40 count sampler, but I don't want to have more than one Carolyn Manning on the go, and I've got one of my It Takes a Village. So I picked up Birdy Boulevard, which I got what I call the road, the square, in last year when I started it, and then I didn't do anything with it. So I started on the 5th of May. I didn't even realise the date till I looked at the card, and I did that in like 1 week stitching, or a couple of days stitching. So, and then I put it away. So I picked that up on last night after, what's today? Sunday. So yeah, Saturday evening. I didn't sit down to do any stitching until about, I had a work thing. I had caught up with a friend, had breakfast, and we went to the giant book fair. So once a year in up Hutt, there's this trust that holds a huge secondhand book fest, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of people. It's ironic that often people who love reading are introverts, quite happy with their own company, in fact prefer their own company. Ironic that we queued probably for about 40 minutes to get in. It was so packed, they were like just being careful filtering people through. Probably queued for about 20 minutes to pay, bought a handful of books. It was just so many people. I think they raised like $500,000 a year then people could apply, organisations and people can apply to the trust for grants. That's how they fund it, so whatever. Distracted. So and by the time I did that, I had a work thing at 2, I did some work from 1 o'clock, work meeting at 2, another work meeting at 8. I don't really sit down to do any stitching until after 4 o'clock. And I'm really scattered today. I've got so much to do. So Birdy Boulevard by Carolyn Manning Designs is one of her It Takes a Village collection. I'm on 28 count lugana, called the colour Little Boy Blue from Country Stitch, and again started this on the 5th of May last year, then did nothing with it. That's the mock-up of what the digital mock-up was going to look like. I really love these. This is like, for me, just satisfies that little bit of whimsy. It's easy stitching on 28 count, so big, 2 strands, lots of bright DMC, just fun. This is what I got to do. So last night and then this morning so last night I got that row done. So that's all complete, because they obviously have them different ways. Love those fat little birds. So they're all entirely done. So I've done all the back stitch. That row's complete. And then I started on that row. So the first birdhouse is complete, and one fat little bird, and that's just the foundation of the next birdhouse. So that's where I got to. Extreme close up. Woo! It's so cute. I just love the whimsy of this. And this one's cute. There's no stupid snowflakes, because I did the wintry one, the Gingerbread Village one, which has a whole lot of white, orphan stitches all over the place for the snowflakes, which wasn't as much fun as this one, which has none. And so this is the 3rd one of the 5. I've got all the other 2 kitted up ready to go one day in the future, but that was just a little bit of whimsical stitching to have a little break from the other stuff. Is that all I stitched on? No, I stitched on something else. So I had a start-ish and a finish. I'll say start-ish because I actually started this on Saturday last week, and I think I mentioned I went to stitch for a couple of hours with a friend, and I had just started this, and I got hardly anything done. It wasn't worth showing you. A little bit of border and a bit of blue sky, but I got a little bit finished, and then I just decided to go ham and get a sort of a start and a finish. So I actually started this on the 26th of April and I finished it on the 2nd of May. So Friday night, I got the beading done. Beading, you say? Yes. I finally got my 4th Bella portrait done. So This is the Bella Portraits by Nora Corbett. You get Rose and Hydrangea on one chart, Butterfly and Bee on the other chart. I don't have the charts. The friend that I was going to stitch with, I had promised her the charts, and it's coming into winter and she really wanted something to stitch on and she was keen on this. So I actually gave her the chart. I was working off a working copy, and I also felt compelled to finish it because I didn't have the chart anymore and I was working off a working copy. So I was like, gave her the chart, and then I finished it over the last couple of days, over the end of the week. So yeah, I'm on 32 count white linen from Zweigart, just with the scrap. I'm going to make these into cushions, I think. Just pretty cushions to display in the bedroom because they're pretty, and I don't really do pretty in my house. And I use all the call for, but with the exception of Bella Butterfly, her skin tone, I'll show you in a minute. When I changed her skin tone, when I went to stitch her and I pulled the thread and I looked at the picture, in my opinion, the thread colour for her skin was too light. And one of the things I liked about these four is that they have 4 different skin colours. So you don't just have pale English rose, you've got kind of, you know, Mediterranean skin and a black skin. So I really liked that. And I went a shade darker with Bella Butterfly, and I feel like the shade, whatever the shade was, I went the next one in the family, and I felt like that matched the picture better, so that's what I did, but I don't remember what colour it was. Anyway, so Bella Bee I stitched in 2021, Bella Butterfly I stitched in 22, I did Bella Rose back in February, and then when Karen reminded me I was going to give her the chart, she'll give them back to me to give away sometime in the future when I'm 103. And so I was like, okay, I need to finish Hydrangea, so I need to stitch Hydrangea. So I started and finished Bella Hydrangea, so this one over here. So she has beads in the centers of these big hydrangeas, and she has beads in her jewellery, so around her a necklace and a lovely earring. Otherwise she's all DMC. And yeah, so that's obviously Bella Rose, so I stitched in February, and these are the older gals. These are way more blingy. So we've got, again, there's Bella Butterfly with her lovely dark skin, and Bella Bee over here. What's next? Okay, next we have, I'm going to show you a bit more of my finished stuff. The last month or so I've been showing you some, due to popular demand, 2 or 3 people asked, showing you some of my things from my cupboard. So we've done the monochromatic, the monochromatic red, monochromatic other, samplers that are stitched with 2 colours. And now I'm going to show you samplers that are stitched with 3 colours with a couple of caveats. So mostly long dogs, but not all my long dogs. So I have a couple of long dogs that are more than 3 colours. One of them actually has 4, but whatever, it doesn't really count. I think I'm going to show them to you in order I finished them. Let me have a look. That was 20 when I finished them. Yeah, 21, 22, 25. It's also 21, but after that one. Okay, right. Okay, so these are my samplers, projects I consider samplers that have, I'm going to say 3 colours of thread with some kind of caveats, I guess. Okay, first up is my biggest finish, biggest project, I think, yeah, I think it's bigger than, is Death by Cross Stitch. I know it's not bigger than Saga. Saga's bigger. I think it's still bigger dimension-wise than my whip, which is Quinto Kuto, but I know that Saga is bigger. But anyway, and it's framed on my wall. So I'll quickly take a little bit of video of it because it's on my wall and it's a good day not to get glare. It's got museum glass, but so, but I'm going to insert a bit of a picture here of it, a bit of video of Death by cross stitch. So here's my Death by cross stitch. Hangs in my bedroom. I love it. So personalizations. Had to tweak a little bit to get my initials to fix. Sorry about the glare, that's the museum glass. Sort of non-reflective. Worst thing I ever had to frog was this dragon. I frogged that twice because I got it wrong. That wasn't that much fun. And the main change I made is in this area. It had and down here. So on the chart there's 3 words that are in Dutch, faith, love and hope, I think. So I changed up here, I think that was hope. I just recharted that because I didn't want the Dutch word. And down here I have, I just put in death thou shalt die, death thou shalt die, which is from the John Donne sonnet, rather than having the love and faith are the main changes. And I added in a couple little diddly bits in here just because it was a bit gappy, so I added in a couple of things. I think that's it. Excuse me. And as per the chat I'm going to have after I put this in, I've got a bit of metallic in the crowns, and there's a crown there, it's got metallic in it. I don't think you can see the sparkle, but yeah, metallic in there, metallic in that crown. So all the crowns have metallic. Yeah, anyway, I love this so much. I love that I wake up every morning and I can see it on my wall, and I want to get Life After Death framed similarly, and it will hang on another wall in my bedroom. So Death by cross stitch I stitched in 2019. I actually wrote, I wasn't doing cards then, but I did write down the stats for it. When I started it, I wanted to know how long it would take me, because at that stage it was the biggest project I ever stitched on. I wasn't monogamous at the time. I was stitching on other things, but I was very heavily focused on it. So I stitched Death by cross stitch. It was my first long dog sampler. I didn't know about long dog samplers until I saw it, and then I was like, oh, here's my new favorite. Between long dog samplers and modern folk embroidery, they kind of tie for being my favorite. If I had to pick a design, Carolyn Manning as well, but for a really different reason. So yeah, if I had to pick it, I'd go with a large monochromatic sampler, even though I might stitch it not monochromatic, because they're amazing. Anyway, 36 count white Edinburgh linens, basic bog standard linen. I used three threads. They are, for that one, Silks for You PR124, which is a dark navy going into purple thread. I used a contrast with DMC 3803, so that's the red, the pinky red colour. And I also used a krynic, however you want to say it. I've always said krynic. It's just how I say it. I don't remember what colour it was, though. It was just from my stash. I didn't write it down. It was like a leftover from a project, and I used the sparkle. Where did I use the sparkle? I used the sparkle on the crowns, and I used the pink in the hearts in some other places. I did a similar thing for Life After Death, which is coming up. So I added the krynic to the crowns on top of the DMC. And I did a similar thing when I did Life After Death, because they're companion pieces, but I used different colours. Okay. And just for the stats, because I wrote them down, I started Death by cross stitch on the 27th of April 2019, and I finished it on the 28th of July 2019. So that was 3 months, May, June, July. But I kept, because I was just weird at that time, and I do not do this for every project. In fact, I've only ever done it for one project, Death by Cross Stitch. Again, it was big and new to me, a new designer to me. I kept a track of the minutes that I spent on it. I stitched 14,487 minutes, and I touched it in those 3 months. I touched it on 62 days. So there was 62 stitching days over those 3 months. So 2 out of 3 days I touched it, and yeah, nearly 14,500 minutes to finish Death by Cross Stitch. Why did I keep track? Because I could. It's actually quite a lot of work to keep track of minutes and stuff. And it was, you know, set the timer. No, I didn't do set the timer. I wrote down, each day I wrote down the starting time. Whenever I sat down and to start it, I wrote down that time, and then minutes, I didn't do seconds. And then if I got up to go to the loo quickly and come back, I didn't stop the clock. But then if I, you know, put the needle away and went and did something is when I stopped. So I didn't count like a loo stop. So actually I stitched a little bit less than that because I didn't stop the time when I went to the loo or grabbed a drink. If I stopped to go and do dinner, or I stopped to go out of the house, that's when I stopped it. I might start again later on. I just didn't count toilet breaks and stuff, whatever. Okay, next up we have the next finish. I don't know if that's right. No, it's wrong. The next one was another long dog. They're out of order on my bit of paper. Not bit of paper, it's out of order on my table. Is Arcade by Long Dog Samplers. So this I stitched on 36 count geyser linen from Country Stitch, using again that same combination of a Silks for You, a DMC, and a acrylic. And this is one where actually I used 4 colours, but you'll see it hardly counts. So I used Silks for You PR137, which is a greeny, goes from a slightly bluey green to a sagey greeny green, olivey green. I used DMC 500 for the DMC, and I did use Chronic 085 blending filament. And again, I used it for this one. I used a slightly different combination. I used for the crowns and the hearts, has the metallic. All of the back stitch on this, which is different to how I stitched Death by Cross Stitch. So I've changed how I stitched it. For this one, I used the DMC for the letters in the sparkle, so the crowns and the hearts, and I used it for the back stitch. So all of the back stitch is done in DMC. And I also used a 4th colour. You can hardly see it, so I don't really count it. There's some little hearts in the O's of the wording, and I have a cream, I don't know what colour it was, I didn't write it down. So you can hardly see the cream and the hearts, so I don't really count them. They're little hearts in the O's. But here is Arcade, and she's a big wide one, and I'll show you some of it up close, so you can see might be able to see the sparkle in the hearts and the crowns. Like up here, these are big wide crowns, so it has sparkle as well. Crowns. I love that piece there, the way that's stitched up. And I love how all of these trees, these pillars or trees, trunks are all different. It's just a fun one. I really love stitching on this. So what did I say when I stitched it? I started it 5th of September 2020, and I finished it on the 20th of July 2021. So that's Arcade. So technically 4 different threads, but well, let's call them 3 because of those hearts barely count. Stitchy math, right? Next up, we now have Life After Death. So I need to get this, I'm going to get this framed this year. In fact, now that I've pulled out and ironed it, I want to get it, I might take it down to get framed. I'll take it to where I got the others framed, because where I got like Death by Cross Stitch. So I want to get the same frame and get it framed similarly. So Life After Death is actually, when I wrote down white Edinburgh for Death by Cross Stitch. I might be on antique white, not sure. Life After Death by Long Dog Samplers. This is on 36 count antique white linen by Zweigart, DMC. So yeah, Silks for You PR132, which is a more kind of ocean blue going, or a dark, maybe, yeah, it's a bit darker than royal blue going into a greeny blue, teal maybe, let's call it teal. And I used DMC, so that was PR132. I used DMC 807 and Krennic BF006. And for this one was started, this didn't take me that long. I concentrated on it 1st of August 2021, and I finished it on the 10th of December 2021. She's a little smaller than Death by Cross Stitch. This one here, I used the DMC a little less than I did. I used the DMC quite a lot in Death by Cross Stitch. For this one, I only used the DMC for the hearts, the crowns, and I think there's only one key. If there's more than one key, I use it for the one key. The metallic is in the crowns and the key, not the hearts. And here is Life After Death. And again, I love it so much. All I cared about was that the floss I chose suited the whale. Otherwise, I didn't care. So again, a little bit of detail. So yeah, like Death by Cross Stitch, the back stitching's done in the silk, different to how I did Arcade. And I love with Long Dog how the little bits of back stitching, I've seen people say, oh, can I do it without the back stitching? I'm like, no, it adds this little delicacy to little parts of it where sort of you've got a whole bunch of, especially with these geometrics, and then if you didn't have that back stitch in there, I think that border would just look weird, but it adds a softness. See, the crowns have the DMC and the metallic. I love how Jules does her whimsical, adds whimsy in with just sort of like weird little dude, I think, smoking on a pipe. Yeah, smoking on a pipe and got little, it's like the border's being chomped out and the little dude's in there and there's a wee lady down there, and just kind of random stuff that you see when the frogs are cute. Yeah, it's just fun. Anyway, that is that one. So that's 3 colours. And 2 more. Sorry, we'll get there eventually. Next up is now a bit of a departure from, I don't think that's in the right order. We've got Rule of Life. So here's a Modern Folk embroidery. This is on 40 count parchment linen from Country Stitch, using the Leo Roxy, as it was called back then, floss pack. This was one of my hashtag stash sampler starts. I started it on the 17th of July 22 and finished it on the 1st of December 22. Whoops. So that is, and I love the colorway for this. So it was 3 colors. I know one was caramel, one was, I don't remember. I've used these, there was so much floss left over. It was a very generous floss pack that I've used these on other tarts. But I love the colorway. I love the 3 colors. They're just beautiful. I love this sampler. So bestow your arms whene'er you see an object in necessity. I love it. And I changed my initials in the alphabet to the caramel. And yep, I love the little acorn border. It's so cute. Anyway, so it's a 3 color sampler. And finally, a departure from Long Dog Samplers. And last up is a recent finish that I finished in February, having started this in 23. So this shouldn't be all that unfamiliar to you, but I used 3 of my own over dyes and stitched all kind of random. This is good old Francis Sweet Love, 1827, from Stone Street Stitch Works. It's the hardest combination of words for me to say. And I've stitched her on 40 count oyster from Country Stitch. I do use a lot of Country Stitch. And this was a Stash Sampler Starts number 7 from 2023. Yeah, 16th of September 23. She languished for a bit, and then I really put a whole lot of work into her the latter half of last year and into this year. So she used 3 over-dyed colours, including a lot of Okefenokee, because yay, we love that name. And she has eyelets. Basically, that alphabet there is an eyelet alphabet in an eyelet row, and 4-sided stitch, that alphabet there, and that row is eyelet stitch, sorry, 4-sided stitch. I personalized it to kind of remember my paternal grandmother, Elizabeth Beryl Green, and she went by Beryl, so I wrote, even though Beryl was her middle name, I did Beryl in the green colour. That is the last of my, I've got a couple of other projects that are 3 colour, probably have 3 colours or maybe 4, but they are not samplers, so they'll come up in another category. Wow, that's nearly an hour. Crazy. I'm not going to show you these projects. I'll do this closer to August, but I have got my Stash Sampler Starts all ready. I've got them all. I might have one working, I think I've got one working copy to do, because one of them is going to be the chart that's online from my lovely friend Susie. That's a pomegranate alphabet. So I don't have a working copy of that because she loaned me that chart after I had access to a photocopier. I mean, I have access to a photocopy, but I've got to go to the library rather than just using one at work. So I don't have one at home. But there are 9 projects in there. I'm going to have 9 starts. I've got them all in order in this basket based on a kind of rough publication date of the chart. There's a couple that I'm not 100% sure of. So if I wasn't sure of it, I kind of went to where I purchased it. Or there are 2 or 3 that have, say, I'm going to make it up, 2022 as the date. So I'm kind of like, when do I think I purchased them rather than when they were, you know, was it May or was it February or was it November? So then where there's the same copyright year, I've just kind of gone, I think that's the order I probably got them in. Or where there's one that just talks, there's no copyright date that I can see, but it talks about the designer having started doing designs in the like 1992. I've just shoved it in around the late, like early to mid 90s. So I'm going to start them 1 a week on a Friday, on or near a Friday, because I think I'm traveling for a little bit of that through August. Am I in August and September? I don't think I am traveling in August and September. I think I'll be fine actually. So yeah, each Friday, August and September, I'll be starting one project on the Friday night, and there's a mix there of older charts, Teresa Kogut, a couple that are Etsy charts. There's a blackbird in there. There's a Hands Across the Sea. So we've got a good variety. I'm very excited. So I will show you through those a little bit later, but I've got them all ready. They're ready to go because it's, you know, May. But August will be here before you think, and it is supposed to be a stash sampler start. So largely everything's kitted up from my stash. I've only bought that silk last week I showed you, the Gutermann silk for the Hands Across the Sea. But I bought that and I put it into my stash, and then it sat in my stash for a week, and then I put it into the project. Other than that, and other than needing to maybe buy some DMC and stuff, it's all kitted up from stash. So that's the whole purpose of the project, of the thing, is to get these things out of your stash and get them, get some stitches on them. So if that's something you're wanting to do, you don't need to do 9 or 8 or 4. But if there's, you know, if you want to join in, we're just picking samplers that we've purchased in the past or procured in the past, getting them kitted up and getting them starts. And it could be you just want to join in with existing samplers from your stash that have already been started. So they'd just be stash sampler stitching. Got plenty of time. So yeah, Narissa sort of kicked it off a few years ago. I joined her in 2023. I took a break last year because I had too many whips and it was not a great year for me. August and September weren't good. With Dad having passed away and stuff. So it wasn't a great time to try and start samplers, but I'm really keen. There's a couple of these I've just, in fact, I want to stitch all of them. I can't wait. I can wait, but I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, it's just gone over an hour. I've got to cut a couple of minutes out, but she's going to be a long one. I know some of you like it. I'm going to try and edit it now before, like I'm not going to leave it till 6 p.m. Try and get it edited and get it loaded. I've got a 2 o'clock meeting for work. And then I really need a new pair of pants for work. Do I go into, where would I go? I need to go somewhere that has fat girl clothes. But I don't want stretchy pants. I really like a nice pair of linen pants. Do you think anyone has linen pants? Then linen's not that practical for flying. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really want another pair of, because it's getting cold and so I might have to just edit the video, meeting at work at 2 o'clock. The thing's not ready for me to do my bit because it isn't. So I'm going to have a couple of hours. Maybe I'll whip into somewhere, Lower Hutt or something. I don't even know I need to find some, I might see if I can find some pants. It's such an exciting life I lead. So I don't know if I'm going to get that much stitching done tonight, actually, to be fair, because I've still got some work to do. Oh well. Thanks for coming along and listening to me go off the beaten track a couple of times. I really appreciate you. I'm really crap at self-promoting, but if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help people find me, the more subscribes you have. And maybe I'm someone else's cup of tea, or can of Coke. And whenever I share whips or finishes where I can, I put the details in the doobly-doo in the description box below. So if you go down and you put more details, there's ways to contact me. There's a link to my coffee, buy me a coffee. Helps me pay for the horrendous amount of shipping that I do with giveaways and things. And the details for all the projects all the current whips, I won't put in the details for those past finishes because it lasts too short. But I flash the cards up, so you can always go back and pause and see what I wrote. Okay, I'm gonna go. Take care and find joy in your stitching, and as always, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.